You know, it's really kind of wild, the imbalance between Piston Cup teams and the members that got released for each one. I mean, of course, we got every Piston Cup racer, so that is the foundation. But then some got crew chiefs, some got pitties, some got bolts, some got haulers, some got all three, some got not one, not two, but three, but maybe even four pitties, and some didn't get anything past the racer. And unfortunately, Crusty Rotor here for Vinyl Toupee is a little lower on the totem pole. Now, he's not all the way at the bottom because he did actually get a hauler. He's one of the very few that didn't get any other team members but the hauler. So him and Shifty Drug, Mood Springs, who was supposed to get a pitty, are kind of all in that same camp. Sidewall Shine as well. So he's grateful for that. But hey, I have a bunch of customs here to bolster his team, along with the Cars 3 Rev Roadages, the Will Rusch here, a tractor, Glow Racing, Will Rusch, some awesome stuff here. I can't wait to get into it. This is Piston Cup Teams episode 15. It's been over 6 months since the last episode, which was Viewzine, so it feels great to be back. Some of these are recent acquisitions, some of them not so much. The Vinyl Toupee Pitty here is my newest score that I'm really excited to show you guys. But one more point I do want to say, it's funny because Vinyl Toupee, Shifty Drug, Sidewall Shine, those are teams that did not get their pit crews animated into the movies. As I've talked about before, only about half of the actual Piston Cup racers got their teams animated and really put into the movie. Pixar and Disney, I guess, just assumed that no one would notice. Well, we noticed. And yet, it's still funny that out of then all the teams that were not shown, some of them still got Piston Cup team members released, like Fiber Fuel, Megan Shifter, Taco Mint, Mandy Frudenbeather, Bryn Imager. The list goes on. And of course, now Vinyl Toupee not shown, but also was not one of the lucky selected sponsors to get the imaginary crew chief and pitty that, for example, Fiber Fuel, Taco Mint, Transberry Juice have gotten the benefit of the doubt for. So a lot to break down. Let's dive into it here. Now, this is not necessarily a review for everything you see here on the table, but more so just a display and showing of what Team of Vinyl Toupee has to offer. I do have reviews individually of almost everything here that I'll have links for in the description below. The stuff I don't have reviews of, I will go more in depth with. And let's actually just start here with the pitty that I just got. So I do not have a review of him on my channel, him or her. This was done by Diecast Dungeon and acquired on eBay. Very, very happy with this. Again, another kind of more difficult Piston Cup pitty to create because you really had to find a color that matched as well to this unique lavender as possible. And while it's not perfect, it's pretty gosh darn close and really looks good alongside Crusty Rotor and the hauler and whatnot. He used a no stall pitty for this custom because you were able to maintain the black there in the center, so you didn't have to paint the black, just the bottom and the top, and then apply some decals there. Not perfect. It really shouldn't be a square like the 76 shouldn't be entrapped in that square there, but totally fine with it. You got the Vinyl Toupee logo there on the roof, which looks great. And at the end of the day, I'm just happy to have some sort of pitty representation. I'm not really all that concerned about the quality, despite the quality here being pretty good. I'm very content, very happy with this. And yeah, like I say, it just looks absolutely amazing with the original Vinyl Toupee squad, which really is just Crusty and the hauler. But you have this factory custom pickup truck, which will serve as our crew chief for all intents and purposes, and especially if you sauce a headset on him, which I believe Epic Green Thunder did a custom of this guy way back in the day. But this is a really great truck, one of the better ones you can get. Like, do you really need to get the Octane Gain or the Leakless or the Nitroid factory custom trucks? Probably not. I mean, they all have crew chiefs, some of which rarer than others, but they all have crew chiefs. Do you really have to get factory custom? Maybe not as much. This one Yeah, I mean, I think this one, the Shifty Drug one, some other ones are a lot more applicable, a lot more useful if you're trying to build out a team than adding, let's say, a just random leakless pickup truck to your leakless team that already has a crew chief. Just my 2 cents. So this guy's great. He does have the same eyes as Crusty himself, which is actually how all of these Piston Cup truck factory customs were made. They just yoinked the eyes straight from the racer themselves. And so that's why, Leakless is, for example, looks a little bit different because the eyes are different on him. But yeah, totally fine with that. The color, again, slightly off. It's a really unique shade of lavender. Like, this is more of a pink. I think the Pitty is a little bit more of a salmon. But Vinyl Toupee really is a pure lavender, I'd say. Maybe a little lighter. So that's why it's just so difficult. And when I compare Crusty here, the Chinese version to the Thailand version to the Vietnamese version, you'll see each shade is different. So Mattel can't even be consistent internally. But yes, really do love this pickup truck here, sporting the Vinyl Toupee logo there on the hood, and then the 76 on the sides, just akin to the Pitty and his layout of the decals. You just have a black rectangle there for the license plate holder, totally fine. And yeah, the back half of these pickup trucks are plastic with the front portion being die cast. You can also sometimes spot, the little hole for the headset, because even though it's not like they used rejected castings of Mattel, but they created new castings based on a crew chief version. Like, let's say they use like Chick Hicks's or the Dynaco crew chief pickup truck model. That's why that hole is there ever so faintly, because the metal casting mold model, whatever you want to call it, itself had that. So that's kind of interesting there. And yeah, I mean, that's an easy way like to call out, this is 110 million% a factory custom. You also see on the base here, there is no mention of Disney, Pixar. There is mention of Disney, Pixar, no mention of Mattel. And yeah, the rivets look a little wonky as well. All right, so there you have the truck, who doesn't have a name, and the Pitty doesn't have a name, unfortunately, right now either. So feel free to comment down in the description below what you think we should be naming these guys. Now let's get on to the man, the myth, the legend, Crusty Rotor himself here. One of my favorite Piston Cup racers. I just really like the unique color scheme, lavender, orange, black. Looks absolutely fantastic. And he's got 3 highly distinct variants. The Chinese version, which in this case that I'm using, is the Motor Speedway of the South version. Believe it or not, this is the real deal, along with Mac Icar and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that unique model. The best of the best for you guys in terms of these comparisons. You got the Thailand version here on the right and the Vietnamese version on the left, which actually I believe got reviewed in a previous season of the 12 Days of Christmas, because he debuted and was only released in that Target exclusive 11 pack. And that is how I got one loose. Otherwise, I really would not have liked to have so many variants of Vinyl Toupee here loose. But you can see that the shade of pink/purple is a little different. The expression's quite different. This guy has a lot more of a similar expression to the Chinese version, just with a little bit more of a heightened eyeliner. The Thailand version went for a very different expression there, shrinking the eyes, narrowing the expression. And I think this expression is definitely the best of the bundle here. The best of the bundle. It's actually quite rare for a Cars 1 Piston Cup racer, or really any Piston Cup racer. And don't get me wrong, there are quite a few. There's a few. But it is rare for one to have 3 variants like this. This is not common. Like I said, there's a few. Chick Hicks, the King, those obviously. Lightning McQueen. But once you get past the main characters, it's like, wow. I mean, Nitro Wade, Aiken Axler, he's one. That's another example. But this guy, man, craziness. Craziness. And Crusty's gotten a couple releases from Thailand now, 2-pack and single, 2022 and 2023. So let me know in the comments. I'm curious which one's your favorite. The Chinese version is really great. This Motor Speedway, the South version, is so smooth and glossy, like he could slip out of your fingers. That's just how great the paint is, although we all know that it's susceptible to the zinc pest, which will deteriorate it or could deteriorate it and literally make it crumble in your hand instead of, slipping around like a fish in your hand because it's so smooth. It's crumbling in your hand because it weakened the metal and it's so poor. I don't know how it happened. Like, how do you screw up that bad where some of these things aren't lasting, even more than 10 years? I mean, that's pretty bad in my opinion. But fortunately, this one in particular is holding up quite well. Now, while we're on the topic of Crusty, and I just did a video on this, the second part of the damaged piston cup racers from Cars 1, Crusty was included in that second batch, and here he is just for a show. Yeah, he had a rough day at the office. And there's this skit guy that I watched. Skit guy, that's such a horrible way of describing him. Andrew Rosso, if you look him up, makes some hilarious skits. He just posted one today, but I've been so gosh darn busy today, I haven't been able to watch a 2.5-minute video. That's when I am extremely busy. But there was one time he was talking about something, and it was so funny. It was like some higher authority looks upon someone who's just had an absolute horrendous time, no matter what it was, and goes, yeah, we're going to screw this one up. We're going to give him a real tough time. Yeah, that's what happened to Crusty Rotor there in terms of the damage he sustained during the Motor Speedway of the South. But here's Rev Roadages. Now, Rev will also end up getting damaged. I'm not sure if I got him. He might have actually been included in the first wave of the Cars 3 damaged piston cup racers I did, but we're not going to worry about that really as much because it didn't happen. It's completely non-canon, his damaged version. But this is perhaps one of the most unique piston cup racer designs ever, and one of the most different from not only the Cars 3 Next Gen, but also the Cars 1 Veteran. I mean, I don't see any correlation to Will Rusch. I don't see any correlation to Crusty. He's got a completely different color scheme, and I think that makes him actually pretty cool. So you got a vinyl Toupee logo there that's looking in just a completely different aesthetic. It's not as loose and as 70s. It's a little bit more tightened up and sophisticated, right? And you got the fine vinyl tops and a can slogan established 1986 there. And yeah, just this white and blue wooden kind of design. All three of them have the black vinyl top, roof and whatnot, but what surrounds that is entirely different. And I really like Rev. He's probably a top 10 Cars 3 racer for me. But it is wild how different this guy is than both of the other vinyl Toupee racers. Because at least with some of these, like, you can really see, like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Especially between the stock cars, right? Like Cars 3 Rev and Go and Cars 1 Rev and Go, they're very similar. Cars 3 gaskets, mood springs, those two are very comparable. Nice weight as well. I mean, leakless a little bit. Some of them are just almost too similar. I think gaskets is a prime example of being too similar between the stock cars. And then you see some jumps. Now, mood springs, leakless, very similar next gen paint schemes. Rev and Go took a little bit of a turn. And if, we're just comparing, the Cars 1 vinyl Toupee to Will Rusch here for Cars 3, you'd say, yeah, I mean, I get it. He's still got the purple, he's still got the orange. It's just now kind of metallic, and it's more of a yellow, I guess, than an orange. But yeah, this was one of the last next gens that Mattel did, and he was first released in 2021, and then now he's gotten released in a 2-pack in 2024 here with Tim Treadless. And again, a very different aesthetic here. This is more of a disco dance vibe. I love it. Like retrofuturism, Miami Vice kind of aesthetic. And yeah, cursive vinyl with the Toupee there and the gold shining font is awesome. I love the gold splitter there and the runner board up along the side here. You got purple wheels with yellow trim, and then this squared pattern amidst the body. Doesn't start though until halfway down the hood. Just really, really nice. Again, you do have that vinyl top though. That stayed very consistent. You got the wing there in black, which provides some nice contrast. And yeah, this is a great next gen and probably one of the few sponsors in which each racer stacked up so well in their own respective classes. Like, I think you could say all of them are top 10 for me personally. I might have said 15 earlier, but I truly believe they're all top 10. Will Rusch is the top 10 next gen, Crusty top 10 veteran, and Rev a top 10 Cars 3 stock car, which is saying a lot. Here is the Glow Racing Will Rusch that just came out earlier. Actually, was this last year? I think this was actually late 2023, but then he did get a single release in 2024. Heightened yellow for sure, really bringing out the yellow on this guy. He glowed okay. I don't think it was anything spectacular, not one of the better glow racers, but yeah, I do think the yellow on him makes him look pretty interesting in terms of differentiating the design, even though no decals themselves were changed. I don't know about the blue. Like, the light blue wheels are a little, I don't know about those. I don't know. Maybe they're referencing the triangular logo here and the color for that, I guess. But I'm not sold on that, to be honest with you. This was Jim Scavenger's original custom for Will Rusch because now, like I said, Will was one of the last Piston Cup racers next gens released, right? So we got a little impatient, and Jim Scavenger brewed one up about a year and a half, 2 years before the Mattel version came out. And yeah, I think he did a great job. He didn't get the square pattern in there. You know, the coloring is not perfect, but I think he did a great job for what it's worth. Definitely served its purpose. Almost double dipping for me in terms of reviews, because I reviewed this. It was a pretty popular video. Then I reviewed the real thing, pretty popular video as well. And because Jim Scavenger had these decals all ready to go, he went pretty hard on the vinyl Toupee lore, if you would say that, by doing a bunch of crewmates here, like this Piston Cup Next Gen, like Ray Raverham-esque Crew Chief. He's got the 76 on the side, the main vinyl Toupee logo there on the hood, on the side. Again, he did update these decals, though, as he kind of improved upon that original primitive Next Gen. The only thing I don't like about this custom is that I feel like the eyelids should be purple. The black, it's fine, but it is a little bit jarring. Obviously, that's a plastic piece, hard to paint. You got the yellow square on the back there. He also probably shouldn't have all these other decals in the back, but I think Jim had some extras and wanted to use them up, so I totally get that. But yeah, probably. I'm not even sure if Will Rusch's Crew Chief was a pickup truck model. Could have been one of the other model pickup trucks, or one of the other model Crew Chiefs, rather. But I remember I reviewed this guy solo because at the time, Jim had not made me a pitty yet. Finally did eventually gain the pitty here, though, so this is the first time I think he's making an appearance in the video outside of possibly a Giga Haul. And yeah, he looks great. Full purple metallic, just absolutely gorgeous. Custom using Laura Spinwell, the Jackson Storm pitty. But now, with the Nicole Revwell, with the UFO Mama UFO movie prop pack, we'll be able to do some more next-gen pitties without the tool gun. So happy about that. And last but not least, why not? Because, again, squeeze everything you can out of the orange until it is dry. Vinyl Toupee tractor, why the hell not? Mattel probably not going to do this one. I mean, who knows, though? I mean, Mattel canceled 3 Piston Cup tractors, right? Then they released an entirely different 3 Piston Cup tractors. So you still have those 3 out there that got canceled, and yet they had all Walmart listings with images. That's the real part that stings, right? So you think if Mattel ever were to revisit Piston Cup tractors, they would go to those that they already developed a little bit. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Mattel is a mystery. They did the Vuzine tractor this year, inexplicably so. I don't know. Whatever, man. But, yeah, this is great. I think I did do a video on him, though, as well at some point. And, yeah, Jim even did a vinyl top on the tractor because, of course, he needs it. Wow, did I just plow through everything except for the hauler? I can't believe it. That was actually very efficient. I think this is a great video. Yeah, let's get on to the hauler, who also doesn't have a name. So his pickup truck guy, the pitty, nor the semi-cab here have names. Now, the semi-cab got released solo dolo in early 2017 as a deluxe, so that's also something interesting to note. But the hauler was released just in 2010 and was, yeah, one of the rarer ones, along with Shifty Drug. Those two are highly associated together. They pretty much held hands for the entirety of their releases. And Sidewall Shine kind of watched from a distance, and Mood Springs watched from a distance from the other side. And that's how I always think about it in my head. You had Sidewall Shine, you had Shifty Drug, and Vinyl Toupee tied at the hip, and then you had Mood Springs. And, it was kind of like a monkey in the middle situation. And yeah, we're hoping for Vitaling, Vusey, and Gasprin, and Shiny Wax all got canceled. That sucks, but grateful that this guy did not. I like his expression. Pretty basic, though. And again, you got the 76 on either side. You got the Vinyl Toupee logo there on the cap, just like the pickup truck and the Pitty that I showed you. And on the back here, license plate is 65F83. We got some, look at that fuzz down there. What the heck is that doing? Ooh, what the? I have no idea how much fuzz or how so much fuzz got accumulated in there. What? I'm going to have to get like some sort of thin object to expunge of this. Oh, do I have it? All right, I think I got most of it. That's pretty satisfying, actually, getting that crap out of there. And then the Vinyl Toupee mud flaps, which are always cool to see. They did a really good job, though, matching the plastic shade of purple to the die-cast shade of purple. Like, that is perfect, whereas on the what would have been the N2O Cola hauler, their purple's so badly off. And then, of course, the trailer here with the black vinyl top. Very consistent with that throughout the years, which is appreciated. I love how you got the can over here and it sprays a nice blue background. And that triangle background eventually became the inspiration for the triangle on Will Rusch's hood there. But yeah, what a great sponsor. What a great color scheme. She'll never notice. You know what? I think she might. I really do, unfortunately. Not to burst his bubble or anything, but I think she might notice. And that is all I have for you guys in this episode of Piston Cup Teams. Let me know, who is your favorite member of Team Vinyl Toupee? I kind of have some recency bias. I'm really digging the Pitty right now. But at the end of the day, I probably would settle just with Crusty and be boring. But I love all these guys. There's a lot of depth now built out with Cars 3 and, the customs that came along with that. Not only just the Cars 1 custom. So, yeah, happy to have all these. I would like more of a designated crew chief, but I'm pretty happy with what I have right now. Like, there's definitely some Piston Cup teams like where I don't have anything. Like, I really would like a Pitty or a crew chief, but I'm pretty good with Vinyl Toupee here. Now, this was day 11 of the 12 days of Christmas, which means we have some shout outs to give here. You have Rembo Slice. That's a great name. We've had some good usernames, guys. And if I didn't say you had a good username, that doesn't mean you don't have a good username. It's just some of these stand out more to me. Plus, I knew someone named Remy, and we used to call her Rembo. So, kind of rings a little bit of a bell. Next up, you have user-VI3PZ1GX7N. Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, thank you very much for the suggestion, but yeah, that's not a great username. You might want to go and edit that. And last but not least, someone who just suggested really any Piston Cup team, I think, in June Hugh 9617. Thank you all for the recommendations for either just a Piston Cup team in general or specifically Team Vinyl Toupee. A lot of other people wanted to see Shifty Drug or Rev and Go. Those will all get done eventually, but to be completely frank with you, I have the most for Vinyl Toupee. Like, it's the most complete, whereas I would like to obtain a Shifty Drug Crew Chief. That's not, or yeah, I guess I do. It's the same thing. I have the truck and a Pitty for Shifty Drug. Man, yeah, they're all very similar, but for Shifty Drug, I don't have all these next-gen guys and a tractor. And same thing with Rev and Go. So this guy had the most, and it's not even close. It was the indisputed best option for me to do a Piston Cup team video on. Yeah, even a blind man could see it. Cough, cough. No, I'm just kidding. But thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Have a great Christmas Eve. If you're watching this in the future, just have a great day. Happy holidays. Bye now.